Today's curl talk or curl health, what should we call it? Curl talk? Curl health? Today's video is all about shedding. What's normal? What isn't normal? What's the difference between shedding and hair fallout? And most importantly of all, my 10 tips to prevent breakage so that you can grow long, healthy hair. But before that, hi sunshines. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Let's get into it. By the way, I got another piercing. This is my fourth. Bought one of those disposable guns and did it myself, which I love doing. I have no problem doing that. But this fourth piercing has been a pain in the first 2 days. Couldn't even sleep, mostly because of my left ear, because I sleep on my left side. My right side is pretty good, I guess, because I never sleep on that side, so it's healing really well. But anyway, back to the video. Over the years, since I've been on YouTube talking about curly hair, sharing information with you guys, I've always gotten questions about shedding and hair fallout, and a lot of people confuse a normal amount of shedding with hair fallout, which is a common mistake to make. Shedding is normal. It happens to everyone with hair on their head. It is completely normal to shed 100 strands of hair in a day. So if you have curly hair, you're not gonna see these 100 strands every single day in a bunch, because we're not washing and detangling our hair every single day, right? So by the time you wash and detangle your hair and you're seeing that come out, don't let that alarm you. That is a week's worth. This is my shedding at the moment, and I'm not showing it to you so that you can compare it to mine or for you to think this is normal and yours isn't, because that's really hard to say. I'm just showing it to you so that you see that it is normal and that this is something that happens to everyone who has hair on their head, especially long hair. Even animals shed. But here's something you probably don't know, or maybe you do but don't hear often and you forget. People with curly hair do not detangle their hair as often as those with fine or straight hair. And that is because anyone with curly texture will have drier hair. So we don't wash and detangle our hair as often. And on top of that, we do not brush our hair. So we're not constantly seeing what we shed, because due to this curly texture, basically when I'm shedding hair on a daily basis, the hair isn't falling out of my head. You don't see it like just falling out like you sometimes would on those who have straight hair. They brush their hair daily, they run their hands through their hair daily because there is no texture, because the hair is straight. But those with curly hair, the texture traps our fallout inside the texture, and because of the spirals, because of the texture, you're not seeing it come out. It's just getting trapped in there. And for those like me who only washed and detangle their hair once a week or every 4 days the most, you're not gonna see the same amount of shedding as someone with straight hair who washes their hair and detangles way more often. Does that make sense? Are you following what I'm saying so far? Another thing that you may not know, I had to look this up myself, because even with all this information and the things that I know and the research I've done, sometimes I forget things and sometimes I get in my own world and I lose the information because I'm not actively looking at it. Things can get in my head and I forget, I guess you can say. But then I read it again and I'm like, oh, I knew that. I definitely knew that. So just to let you know, sometimes I need a reminder as well. Shedding is not the same as fallout, and I know it could be scary. There are people who have specific health conditions that their body responds in symptoms to release more hair from their scalp because their follicles are weak due to their health condition and their autoimmune disease or whatever they may have. These are specific conditions that cause the follicles to release hair and excessively lose a lot of hair. In these cases, you will often see that a person's hair is thinning on the scalp area, or that the scalp is very see-through, and that's what excessive shedding looks like. In other cases, a person may not have any diagnosed condition or any specific health condition, but they may naturally have fine, thin hair that they're naturally born with. And on top of that, highly stressed for any situation. Some people are students, some people are on deadlines, some people are going through tough moments in their life, and you will see that if you're going through a long period of time of daily stress, that can take a toll on your hormones and then cause your body to react by making your scalp shed more than it usually would. So in these cases, you may notice, wow, I'm losing more hair than usual. I'm washing and detangling my hair the same amount that I always have. My fullness isn't the same. My hair is more see-through now. I can see my scalp through my hair. These are signs of fallout, and maybe you should get yourself checked, get your blood checked, see if you're deficient in something, or address your stress. Because stress is honestly one of the #1 issues on why a person without a noticeable health condition would be having excessive fallout. Another factor is postpartum, something I know very well because I've had 2 kids, and postpartum with my first child when I was 21 years old was very different from my second child at 30 years old. Postpartum hit me harder at 30 years old versus 21. With my second child, I actually lost a lot more hair, and it's taken me longer to gain it back. I'm getting there, but it's not where it used to be. That's almost a 10-year difference. I'm a completely different person. My body functions differently. I'm a different age. And because of that, in my past few videos, you are seeing that I'm doing more things to address the health of my hair and just giving my hair more TLC now more than ever because I want to recover my hair back, and taking supplements that I've never taken before. These are some of the ones I've been taking for a few months now. This is Biosil. This is the Hair, Skin, and Nails by Biosil. The main ingredient in this one is silica, which is awesome, not just for hair, but for bones and joints. And because this one doesn't have biotin, I'm taking biotin separately. This is one of the meltable biotins. Melts in the tongue. Not everyone needs this though. I specifically need it because I know I'm not getting enough of it from my nutrition and my food, even though I should be. The reality is I'm not, and this is just something I'm doing to enhance that while keeping it natural, safe, and not synthetic at the same time. Now, if you want healthy hair that has the ability to grow, you need to stop doing the things that are causing breakage and maintain that consistently so that you see long-term results. If you're getting breakage on your ends or in other parts of your hair, that means you're gonna have to cut your hair more often. That means your hair is gonna grow unevenly. But most importantly, what you should know is that it means that your hair is dry, extra dry. So the number one way to stop breakage is address your dryness and hydrate your hair. Especially if you have curly hair, because curly hair is drier, so you have to stay on top of a routine. Sorry to say it, curly hair is high maintenance. Curly hair is beautiful, but it is high maintenance. That's just what it is. We have to accept it because that's what God gave us. And it's beautiful, but that's what it is. The more textured your hair is, the more drier it is, the more maintenance it needs. And it takes longer to see growth on curly hair because even though our hair may be growing at the normal rate as everyone else's, shrinkage is real. The fastest amount a person's hair can grow, which is the normal rate that a person's hair can grow, is 1 inch to 1.5 inch every 2 months. And I'm only saying this so you guys can be realistic when you're looking for growth or trying to achieve certain goals. Within 2 months, a person with straight hair will see the normal rate of having 1 inch or 1.5 inches of growth, and it'll be visible because their hair is straight. But someone with curly hair, 1 inch, 1.5 inches of growth isn't going to make a huge difference in how our hair visibly looks when it's curly because the hair shrinks. And our hair will need a lot more weight over here on the bottom in order for that length to create enough weight to stretch out our curls and that length to be visible. And I've looked this up. From what I've looked up, the average person will see 4 to 5 inches of hair growth per year if you do well at preventing breakage. But someone with curly hair, it'll take us years to see a significant amount of growth. Typically 2 to 3 years to see this much of a difference of growth while the hair is curly. So what I do is I deep condition my hair every weekend. Sometimes I deep condition on the go, and sometimes I deep condition in a way where I'm just leaving it in my hair for a couple of hours and then washing it out later. As long as you deep condition, it's not about a particular product. There are so many deep conditioners that are great. Just make sure you deep condition. Tip number 2, avoid high heat. And I say avoid high heat because nowadays I do use some heat. While I have not straightened my hair in over 10 years now, I've lost count. I really don't know. And as you know, I've been preaching this for years. Heat can damage your hair and can make it more brittle and more prone to breakage, especially if you're using high heat. I do use some heat when I diffuse my hair like I did today, but I only use my diffuser on low heat and on cold heat. So I use it on low heat first on my scalp area, and the new thing I'm doing is not applying this on my ends with the low heat because I realized that even the low heat is pretty intense. And because my ends was literally touching the diffuser the closest to the heat and leaving it there for several minutes at a time to dry my hair, my ends were being more prone to breakage because of that. And I had to trim my hair. And as much as I didn't want to because I want my hair to grow and be long, I had to because my ends were damaged, and then as it grows, it only looks horrible and uneven because of the breakage. So the new thing I'm doing when I diffuse my hair is never applying the heat directly on my ends. What I do now is apply only cold air on my ends and apply a little bit of the low heat on my scalp area, but not on my ends. And that's honestly been helping a lot. But I'm also someone who does not diffuse often. The only time I honestly diffuse is when I'm making a video for you guys, which is probably once or twice a month, where I have my hair like this and doing it the day of filming. So that's not often. Or if I'm going somewhere, which again, I don't go anywhere, especially nowadays. So most of the time I air dry, which is healthier to do. If you are someone who is straightening often, I recommend you lessen that, you stop it. Number 3, if you're using hair dyes and bleach, that chemical processing can also damage your hair. You guys know that, right? This is nothing new. And if you want to dye your hair, try to do it without bleach. And if not, I recommend getting highlights, because highlights are less maintenance. Highlights aren't something that you have to touch up as often as when you dye all of your hair, where your roots start showing and then you want to dye it every month. I would love to have pink hair. I would love to have purple hair and blue hair and just play around with things like that. But I don't do it because I know it's going to be so high maintenance and I'm not going to want to keep up with it, and it's just going to add more damage that I don't want. But if I were to dye my hair, which I have before, I would do blonde highlights. If you are someone who is bleaching and dyeing your hair often, keep that in mind. That is possibly one of the reasons why your hair is breaking off and you're not growing your hair as much. Number 4, be mindful of how often you mistreat your hair. You could mistreat your hair by the way you're brushing it, by the way you're tying it, how aggressive you are, the types of things that you do to your hair that are causing it to break. I like using a brush like this. This is kind of like a paddle brush. The bristles are very soft and bendable. They're not very stiff. This is made to detangle wet or dry hair. Obviously, I never detangle my hair dry. If you are doing that, please stop. The only time I detangle my hair is in the shower with conditioner in it, with good slip, and my hair is ready to be detangled. And I never detangle from the top. I start in the bottom where the ends are and then move my way up. If you are someone who's seeing a lot of breakage up here on top, you are breaking your hair at the root and you're seeing like little tiny hairs that are shorter than the rest of it. That's because you're breaking your hair more up here. And it could be because of the way you're detangling your hair, or it could be because of the hairstyles that you're doing that are pulling on your scalp. Which brings me to number 5, be mindful of how you tie your hair, how tight you do it, and what you use to tie up your hair. About a month ago, I stopped using this type of hair tie. I used to think this was the best for curly hair, until a neighbor of mine who is white and has straight long hair mentioned one of these coiled hair ties, and immediately I thought, okay, your hair is straight, that's probably something that works for straight hair people, but I have curly hair. And she was like, no, you should try it, you should try it. And she gave me one, which I still have. And it took me about 2 weeks to work up the courage to actually put this thing in my hair because it looks intimidating. And I couldn't understand how this thing is not gonna just get tangled in my hair and rip my hair out. But once I tried it, I realized this thing right here, every time I took it off, was ripping out so many pieces of hair, and I would always find hairs that I would just be taking off of it. Since I've been using this, my hair doesn't rip out and there's been no hair that gets stuck on this. I know this isn't something new. I've seen this around so many times. This is just so new to me and I'm obsessed with it. So I bought myself this little pack, these clear coils, and I use it on my hair and my daughter's hair. And I love them. I just keep them on like this throughout the day. Whenever I need to tie my hair, I use one of these. So use tear-free ties like these, and I'm telling you, it'll change your life. Number 6, something else to keep in mind is if you're tying your hair up a lot like me, this is something that I am so guilty of. You may notice that you have more breakage in the bottom of your hair than you do on top. And that is so me. As you guys heard in my last video where I was complaining about how my hair in the bottom grows much slower and it just takes so much longer to see any growth in this area, that is because my hair is literally breaking off all of the time in this area. So it's staying short. And it's been like this for a very long time, for many years. But the difference is I didn't notice it as much as I am noticing it nowadays, because before going through this postpartum with the second child, I had a lot more hair on my scalp. My hair was so much more full. So it used to cover that area in the back. And now that I have less hair on my head, this area in the back has become more exposed to me. So when I was editing one of my videos one day and I saw the back of my head, which I don't ever see unless I'm filming the back of my head, I'm editing that video like, what in the world is going on with the back of my head? It looks so uneven. Ever since I saw that video, I was like, I have to cut my hair now. I just have to cut my hair. I thought my hair was growing so nicely until I saw the back of my head. And I realized my hair is growing long over here, perfectly well, very long, and the back of my head is staying short because it's breaking off. And why is it breaking off? For several reasons. One, I think I look better with my hair up high. So I never tie my hair low like this. That is very rare for me to do. For you to see me with a low hairstyle like this, it's very rare. So I usually do updo hairstyles that are very high up because I just think it looks cuter. I think this looks better on everyone. Anyone with a high messy bun or a neat bun or whatever, when your hair is up, I don't care what hair you have, straight, curly, wavy, whatever, your hair is up, it looks better than this. This doesn't look so attractive. So because my hair is always up, this back part of my head is always exposed. It's always rubbing on something when I'm laying down watching movies, when I'm laying on my bed. Yes, I have satin pillowcases, but that is not enough. And on top of that, because I don't see the back of my head, I don't know how much moisture I'm giving it. So nowadays I'm just trying to pay more attention to that and give the back of my head more moisture, more TLC, and focus deep conditioning, especially back there. And I'm trying to not tie up my hair up high as often anymore. I'm trying. Another reason why we get breakage back there is because friction is so much more common back here. This hair over here is rubbing on our clothes, on anything that we wear, and I'm not about to wear a silk shirt every single day of my life. So the truth is, when my hair is down like it is right now, it is literally rubbing on my shirt back here, drying my hair constantly, making it more prone to breakage. Which brings me to tip number 7. Do more protective styles. Doing protective styles basically protects your hair and keeps it together while being moisturized so that our hair could be long and healthy like it was when we were kids. Do you remember those hairstyles our moms used to do? I would literally get in trouble for even having my hair out like this when I was a little girl. My mom never let me have my hair out like this. My hair was always braided in 2 low ponytails or braided in 1 big ponytail up here. I would have like 2 buns over here, but my hair was basically moisturized and tucked away on a daily basis. And on very rare occasions, like a family get together or a party, my mom would let my hair out for that one day. But I would get in so much trouble if my mom did this hairstyle on my hair with my hair up all neat. And then in school, I asked my teacher one time to take it out. She took it out and she was like, oh, you have beautiful hair. Let's let your hair out. And she let my hair out. And I came back home and my mom was pissed. And now that I have a daughter, when I do 2 braids on her hair, it gives me so much relief. And I feel so good about it. Even though she wants her hair out all the time. Even if I leave her 2 braids in for several days and I just keep redoing them throughout the days, by the time I wash her hair, there's like literally no tangles in her hair. And it's so much easier to wash her hair. Less hair is breaking off because I'm detangling less. And it's just so helpful. So if you could do more protective styles while deep conditioning your hair within those protective styles and deep conditioning on the go, that's a good jam. Try it out. Number 8, sleep on satin pillowcases. I've said this so many times before. Some people like using bonnets. Bonnets are not my thing. I don't like wrapping my hair. I don't like wearing scarves. I don't like wearing bonnets. So I opt for using satin pillowcases. But I'm here to tell you that I have been using a satin pillowcase for a very long time. I want to say like 7 or 8 years now. Not on a daily basis, but most of the time I'm sleeping on a satin pillowcase. And I can tell you that it's not enough. It's helpful, but it's not enough. As you can see, I have breakage back here, like I said, and that is because of the way I tie my hair, the lack of attention I give that area, and this area constantly being exposed to friction. And while my hair is being tied up in a pineapple like I usually do to go to sleep, and like I've always promoted here on my channel, it's still rubbing on that satin pillowcase. And while that satin pillowcase is so much better than my hair rubbing on a cotton pillowcase, it's still friction. But if you don't have a satin pillowcase, go ahead and get one because it is better. Number 9, avoid drying ingredients like sulfates and alcohol. Shampoos with sulfates are very drying and very intense. They can strip moisture, as well as products that have alcohol in them, like hair gels. Hair gels commonly have a lot of alcohol. Also avoid clogging ingredients like mineral oil, petroleum, and silicone. These 3 ingredients can be very heavy for curly hair. They can clog your scalp, your follicles, not allowing your scalp to breathe and thrive so that that new growth can come out. And I know some people actually like silicone in some of their hair products for their curls because silicone tends to bind and help with the frizziness of hair, which I agree, sometimes it does. But if you're using silicone, you have to now wash your hair more often, and especially use sulfate shampoos because silicones don't easily wash out of your hair. So if you're using a sulfate-free shampoo, something very gentle to wash your hair, it's not gonna wash out all of the silicone in your hair, therefore causing your hair to just create more and more buildup on your scalp especially. So if you're someone that is currently using silicones or have been using silicones and you want to get rid of that buildup, you're gonna have to use a clarifying shampoo with sulfate in order to fully strip your hair of the silicones, the buildup, and start fresh. But make sure that if you are going to use that one-time clarifying shampoo, deep condition right after so that your hair isn't continuing to stay dry. Lastly, but not least, this is a very important one, protein loss. Protein is very, very important for our health. So I am big nowadays on consuming more protein internally. One, because of my workout goals, because of my body goals, because of my health goals, because of my bones and my joints. But protein is also very important for our nails and our hair. Our hair is actually made of protein. And if you lack protein in your diet, this could be one of the reasons why you have weak nails and weak hair. Not having enough protein. Why did nobody tell me my hair was messed up like that? So you need protein in your diet, but here's the tricky part. If you're using products with protein, we also have to be cautious to not use too much protein. So while protein-based conditioners and deep conditioners are awesome for hair recovery because it's basically feeding your hair through the outside, but putting too much protein in your hair too often can do the opposite, which is making your hair more brittle and actually more prone to breaking, which can actually snap off. That is why in my way back older videos when I was going through my heat damage recovery and I was sharing you guys the things that I was doing and how I recovered my hair, which was very successful by the way, one of the main things that I used was this DIY mask that had an egg in it for the purpose of protein, and that's because my hair needed the protein at the time. But after a while I had to stop using so much of it, so I would not include the egg in that recipe every single time I did the hair mask because I didn't want my hair to receive too much protein. These are all things that you should keep in mind in your hair recovery. If there's anything I missed here, share them down below. We're all friends here. We all want to know. And with that, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this helps you reach your hair goals. It's not about growing hair longer. Not everyone wants longer hair, but healthy hair is beautiful at any length, and that's what it's all about. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, sunshines.